PTSD over answering the phone, like, oh God, the phone's ringing. Where's my suit? it's going to be a funeral. It was just like, that's what we felt. But here's what happened for me. In 2005, on my dad's birthday, 8 years ago today, that took me into the deepest place of peace and surrender that I had ever felt. Because you just can't fight it anymore. You can't control when somebody's ready to check out from this earthly plane. You just can't. We really can't control anything. We can intend and allow, but we're not in control. There's a distinction there. And as many of you know, I've been working with Greg Bear really closely since December, and he's taken me back to that in an even deeper way than I ever knew before. That deep place of surrender and peace, that all is truly well. And so, I'm going to get to how this ties into your garden here in just a minute. But it's important that we not be moved by circumstances. Renee was saying earlier, I'm not moved by circumstances, and therefore circumstances move for me. We were doing all kinds of treatment up here when the treatment sound system wasn't working. I was just like, But there's another example, How are you living your life? The sound system was blowing up this morning. They were like, boom, boom, boom. I couldn't even speak without this boom, boom, boom. And they were trying everything. It was still going on. I had to switch mics. So we were trying everything, and yet I went right to treatment because that's what I do. That's how I live my life. That's the story I tell. Right to affirmative prayer, that right here, right now, in this moment, all is well in my world. My experience is peace. That's the story I'm telling. So Joel Osteen says it this way: God is always arranging things in your favor. Always arranging things in your favor. The Tao Te Ching, everything is a movement towards your perfection, or as my friend August translates that to say, everything is a movement towards your wholeness. Everything is for your good. There's good in this, and I demand to see it now, you hear us say a lot. So are you looking for it, stalking it, looking for it, trying to find it? And this is recognizing, yes, stalking your good. That was a talk title I did a few years ago. Are you stalking your good? And recognizing that anything that feels like a detour is part of the plan. It's part of the plan. Instead of going, oh, God, it's got derailed. I can't believe this has happened now. Instead, recognize this is part of the plan. I don't know what the infinite has in mind, but I know what I have set my intention for, and I know the infinite supports that. I just don't know how that's going to show up. Do you see the difference? Yeah. That's not saying, I'm just not going to do anything. No. And that brings us to gardening. So, now we're going to tell a little story about gardening. Well, a couple stories. So, loving my friend Kelly's yard. And going back to my house and going, there's no azaleas, there's nothing blooming here. I need azaleas on the front. I need azaleas. Oh, but by the time I buy them, they'll stop blooming, and then they'll just be green, and then I'll have to wait till next year. I'm like, no, stop it. I'm going, I do this every spring, and I realize, oh, I still don't have azaleas. So I'm going to buy plants. But I have two brothers who are landscapers, and I know that you have to know what you're doing. You can't just go buy plants or you're going to have a mess. And so I looked at my little area, and I was like, okay, azaleas get to be 4 feet by 4.5, eventually. So I don't want to put 10 azaleas right here in this one little place. I want to put them, but I do want them thick, so I want to put this. So I envisioned what I want it to look like on the other side. Okay, you have to look down the road, otherwise you'll plant too much stuff up against it and not give it room to grow. These are our thoughts. Do you have a clear direction, intention, desire for your life? Then stick to it. Wait, I didn't get an answer. Do you have a clear intention and desire for your life?
Yes. Yes.
For those of you who did not, I'm willing to help you find it. Because it's there. So stick to it. Don't get distracted by the distractions of life that say, oh, well, it's not working, obviously, because look what's just happened. Now the road's going this way. Well, I don't care. It's ended up over there. I know that. I know that because that is the desire of my heart. And I know the infinite supports that. So, I have my idea for my plants. And here's the thing. We have to do the work. We have to get up and we have to figure out how to do it. Maybe not. Maybe we don't have to do all the work when it comes to gardening. I did call my landscaper person and say, bought these plants. Yeah, how about you plant them for me on Monday? But still, I did the work. I did the work that it took to get the money to get him to come and do it. So there you go. Anyway, so the garden, we have to get the vision that we want. So I want to read you a little love story here about a garden. Elizabeth and Eddie Clarkson. Elizabeth told Eddie Clarkson on their first date in Boston, where he was working and she was attending the New England Conservatory of Music, how she and her mother had raised white-winged doves. After 5 years of courtship in 7 states, this was in the early 1920s, by the way. After 5 years of courtship in 7 states and 1 foreign country, Eddie and Elizabeth became engaged. Eddie's father urged, "Don't let that pretty little auburn-haired girl get away." Eddie proposed and drove his Essex auto to Uvalde, Texas in 1926 to give her an engagement ring. From here, it took him about 5 days. During the fall before their marriage, Eddie received a tide of letters from Elizabeth in Texas which contained sketches and building instructions. With a Charlotte builder, Eddie carefully followed them. They included graceful details, a fan light with a terrace over the side-lit front door and a post and a stair exactly like hers in Texas. The house rose on a barren lot at the eastern edge of Myers Park, an elegant subdivision with gardens and wide curving streets that begun in 1911. Now, this is 3.5 acres in Myers Park. If you have not seen this Charlotte treasure, this is the perfect time of year to see it. It's amazing. 248 Ridgewood Road. I'm a member. The early part of the neighborhood was designed by an eminent town planner, blah, 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 John Nolan, Boston. The land had once been the bare fields of a 1,000-acre cotton farm. So I want you to think about this as a metaphor for the thoughts you are planting into being as your experience and as your life. It was a 1,000-acre barren cotton farm, and then it became Myers Park. But even as Myers Park, in the early 1900s, it was dirt. If you haven't driven through Myers Park, surely you have, but those huge willow oaks that are over 100 years old, I mean, they're gorgeous, okay? Back then it was like spindly willow oaks and dirt. All right, in 1927, the new developing edges of the early spacious curves of Myers Park reverted to a standard grid pattern of streets. The Clarkson's lot at 248 Ridgewood Avenue was a flat rectangle of broom sage with a straightforward house close to the street. When Elizabeth and Eddie arrived at the Charlotte train depot after their honeymoon in the spring of 1927, Elizabeth insisted on going immediately to the house and the lot that she had only seen in her imagination. It was a barren red clay, North Carolina red clay, dirt, just hard-packed dirt lot. Now it has thousands of plants, thousands. And thousands of birds that call it home, that migrate from all over the world. Eddie slowed the car and stopped in front. Elizabeth gasped. The house stood stark and solitary in a field of hard red mud with nothing green except a few waist-high pine seedlings. Eddie led her around back to the single tree, a spindly willow oak that is now this big around. Since Eddie did not have the door key to the house, they climbed in a window. He led her into the living room where his wedding present lay, a mahogany Steinway baby grand piano. And the next day, Elizabeth started her garden. Now, the love story just begins there. Because these two, for every holiday, every birthday, every anniversary, every special occasion they could think of, they would buy each other a brick. There's enough bricks in this place to build, I don't even remember how many houses. It says on the little video that you get 10, no, I think it's more than that, like 100 houses. I mean, there's enough bricks in there to build lots and lots of houses. For all these brick-lined walkways and walls and all the arbors and all these things. They would give each other bricks, they would buy each other fountains, they would buy each other bird feeders, because they had this vision. They didn't care that it was a red dirt block of land. They didn't care because they knew in their imagination, especially Elizabeth, and her imagination, and he just loved her so much, he's like, okay, babe, whatever. And her imagination, she knew what it was going to look like. She saw it completely formed. That's what I'm talking about. When you're telling your story, and you're going, oh, well, you know, I don't know, this, yeah, hopefully it'll work out, yeah. No. That's not seeing it completely formed in your imagination. But when you say, everything's working out great, even if it's a deep, painful change, everything's working out. And feeling better and better every day because you have it fully formed in your imagination. You know where you're going, and no detour, no distraction is anything other than you seeing it as part of the plan for your good. Yeah. Getting me? Yeah. All right, so Love's Garden takes this. It takes vision. It takes having that fully formed picture in your imagination. Vision, seeing where you want to go. And then selection. What are the steps? What are the making the decision? You know, what are the things I need to make a decision to do. That's the selection process and the planting. What do I want to plant exactly? To make it look like that big garden, what are the plants that need to go into it? So to make it look like this dream that I desire, this beautiful home or this beautiful relationship or this beautiful job, what are the things that I need to think into being by way of changing or revealing the truth of who I am? There's really no changing here. It's just letting what fall away, letting the things fall away that stands between you and the truest revelation of who you really are. So selecting those thoughts that you want to plant to make form into your life, and then taking those steps in that direction, even if it means calling the gardener and saying, I need you to plant these bushes because I probably won't get around to it because I got other things that I'm also planting. All right, you follow me? All right, and then tending. We want to weed out the other stuff, right? If it's our garden, we got to weed out. I had to throw in the weeding in there. That's so I knew you were expecting that, but it's important. It's very important to pull out the thoughts that counteract the things we do want. You get that? Otherwise, you're just canceling each other out. It's like me and one of my siblings going to the voting polls. I mean, it's just like, well, there it went. so if you plant a good thought and then a weed's there, it's just canceling it out. You got to pull out the weeds. You got to pull out the weeds. Delayed reaction on that one. You got to pull out the weeds. What are your weed thoughts? Look right now in your mind's eye, because I know you've been thinking about your direction. So what are your weed thoughts? Those are the fears. Those are the things that say, well, but what if she doesn't, or what if he doesn't, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and those are the weed thoughts. And you know how you know they're the weed thoughts? Because they don't feel good. They don't feel good. So pull them out. Get thee behind me, Satan. That's what that means. We don't believe in the pointy-eared Satan. We believe in the wrong use of the power of good. The wrong use of the power of good that is always available to you, moving through you. So, complaining, blaming, judging, justifying, feeling guilty, feeling shameful, those are the things that are your weeds. Complaining, blaming, justifying, judging, feeling guilty, feeling shameful, feeling regret, those are your weeds. You gotta pluck them out if you want